In this document, I'm going to build some paragraph styles. But I want this to be a little like book layout. So for the title, The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, and the by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, I'm going to take these two and cut them out so they can be used on the cover. So I will double-click to get inside the text box and highlight these two lines and choose Edit, Cut. And since I have an extra line here, I'll press my right delete. Right delete is usually on a full keyboard near the home, page up, and page down keys. In fact, on Windows, it's named better. Backspace deletes left, and the delete to the right is on the right of the keyboard with home, page up, and page down. On the Mac, they're both called delete, but the delete with all of your regular letters and numbers will go left. The delete with home and page up and page down will delete right. In any case, delete that blank line, and I'm going to drag a none page for the cover in front of A1 until I see a blank line pop up. And if you don't have your Pages panel open, just one click will open Pages. Drag the icon for none down until this thick black line pops up and let go. The reason I chose none is because I don't want it to have a page number. And when we add page numbers, they're usually added to A master, and all of the rest of the pages in this file are using the A master. So when I add the page number there, it will be on every page with the letter A in it. Now I'm going to draw a text box, starting with that little baseline guide that fills my margins, and I'll choose Edit Paste. And I'm not going to format this yet. I'll do the cover later. With this video, I want to focus on doing paragraph styles. So I've double-clicked on page 2, and I'll click inside my text box, and I'll do a Select All. Edit, Select All. When I build my first paragraph style, I apply a body style to everything. That way, if I get a spec that says, I don't want to use Adobe Garamond Pro anymore, could you please use the font Bernhard Modern if you own it? It's globally editable, so you could change the font everywhere it's used in the body style. So let's do styles. If you are on the Essentials workspace in the workspace switcher at the top right, click there and choose Typography. That's the workspace I'm starting with. In fact, I've already ripped off Character from there because I rarely use it. Paragraph is also redundant, so I'll click the word paragraph, rip it off, and close it. Everything you could do on paragraph, you could do on the paragraph section of the control panel across the top of your screen. Normally, you'll be on the character section across the top. But when you use styles, you may not be using this at all. Any change is made in the style so that it updates for the document globally. This is excellent for magazine layout, newsletter layout, book layout, anything where you have text that occurs more than once that you might like to control the style in. Even Microsoft Word has built-in styles, but I find they're rarely used. All right, you'll see we're using basic paragraph, but because I changed the font to Adobe Garamond Pro in this file, and I added the space after, this plus sign means that it's impure. It's not following the generic rules of basic paragraph. That's okay. I don't want to click on it, and if you have, you just undo. I want to build a new style. And to build a new paragraph style, I'm going to go to the Panel menu. The Panel menu is the 4 little lines with a down arrow, and every panel has one. So I'll click once and choose New Paragraph Style. And we'll name this Body. And I'll scoot my window over a bit so I could see it applying to the text in the background. If you click Apply Style to Selection and Preview, you'll see the changes as you make them. So the first thing I'm going to do is click Basic Character Formats, and they've decided to change the font to Adobe Caslon Pro. So I'll click here and go up to the C's. Even though it starts with Adobe for Adobe Caslon Pro, it's in the C section. Adobe is just part of the name, but really Caslon is the font family. When I choose Adobe Caslon Pro, it updated in the background. It's very close to the font I was on, Adobe Garamond Pro. And the size is 12, but I want a hard leading value of 14 point. The 0.4 means it's 20% greater than the type size. So if my size was 10, and you could see that change, the leading would be 12. But at the size 12, 14.4 is 20% greater than 12. But I like a real measurable 14. And that's all I'm going to do for this. I'll click OK, and I'll click once on the first line, Adventure 1. And I will build a second new paragraph style named Heading 1. This time I don't want to base it on body. My headings are going to be very different from the body style, and I'm deviating from the original look of the book and modernizing it a bit. So I will base it on nothing, so it starts fresh. The next style means, is it logical that you would have something always occur after heading 1? And that might be heading 2, but I don't have it yet. So maybe a body would be logical, because sometimes there isn't a heading 1 and a heading 2. There's just heading 1, and when you press Return or Enter, the next paragraph is in the body style. This next style has InDesign automatically switch the style when you press Return or Enter, saving you time if you're typing in the document in InDesign. So in basic character formats, I'm going to choose the font Myriad Pro. You could click here to choose it from the list, but I like to type the first couple letters to get there quickly. I'll make the size 18, and you can click and choose 18, and I'll make the leading 20. That's common that you go 2 points greater than the type size, and 20 isn't in the list, so I did have to type it in. I always do optical kerning. In fact, I made that a preference in the basic paragraph style with no documents open, so every letter space is better. And I think I'll do bold. The last thing I'm going to do is go to character color. And a super secret way to add a color from here is to double click the T. It would be nice if there was a little add color button, but only the power users know that you could double click the T to add a color, and I could mix my favorite shade of green. So I will give it a recipe of 50 cyan and 100 yellow and 30 black. And you could slide these up or down. After I typed each value, I pressed Tab to see it kick in. If I want it a greener green and not so yellow, I could make it 80 and hit Tab, and there's a greener green. And if I wanted a darker black, I could just slide this up. I think I'll go to a darker black. So before I click OK, I've got 80 cyan, 0 magenta, 100 yellow, and 50 black. I call this cooking color. I learn recipes from my favorite colors and learn how to build them. And most of the print world uses CMYK, cyan, magenta, yellow, black. If you're doing web design, you might be using RGB, red, green, and blue. But I'll click OK, and I'll scroll down, and I'll click on that green, and now it's applied to heading 1. You'll notice I didn't even highlight that line. If I click OK again, now I've got everything in body and the first line in the document in heading 1. And that is your introduction to building paragraph styles. In almost every document I create, I have a body and a heading 1, unless I'm doing a single page ad or a poster. That might involve a lot more hand formatting, and I call hand formatting what you would do up in the control panel in the character section or the paragraph section. So see if you could place this text on your own and create the body style and the heading 1 style. Feel free to experiment with the fonts you have loaded on your system until you're happy with the look and feel of your document.